You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Was in constant contact with you, a lot of needs that you had. Christy Leggett then took over the ball on a lot of it as well. Not just your needs. When I say your needs, your area. There was other people we were talking to as well, other groups, but it was so sporadic and so hectic. So many mayors, people say, oh, he's a mayor. Oh, my God, he's a mayor. Yeah, he's a mayor, and it's like a volunteer job mayor. Or I'm a policeman in such and such city. Well, there's the only policeman. And so that's how rural so many areas are over there. And so much of that crosses over into another county, but they work, they're friends, they're buddies, they're families. They work and live in each other's areas. And so we were able to get into a lot of areas and kind of help formulate a plan because of a lot of the contacts you gave us, a lot of the phone calls you made, a lot of the guidance you gave. And then, of course, there were several times when Bull Salas was in need, and we were able to give it to you. So that was a good partnership. That was a good relationship. Tell me a little bit. Tell the listeners, kind of tell us what happened over there from the beginning to what the shelter, just stuff, man.
Well, we'd like to say that we planned.
Your microphone's off. Yep.
We'd like to say that we planned for things like this, but there's no playbook for this. I mean, we've had storms in the past, but nothing to this magnitude. And basically, the need came immediately, and we sprung into action. The senior center director, Rhonda Binkin, and Jennifer Hayden, they just opened up the doors, and we started, getting cots from emergency management. We had in excess of 500 people at one time that were in 3 different buildings. They were in the senior center, they were in the fair office, and they were in the show barn. And then the outpouring from the community came. The Friends of Conroe, a lot of local folks.
Right.
The East Montgomery County Improvement District. They were there every single day. And they didn't just bring random stuff. They said, what do you need? And they never said no. They brought it. And those guys were just great. But I'm telling you, I've never seen the outpouring. In the beginning, we had several hundred volunteers that were wanting to volunteer, and we really only needed, say, 100. But as it progressed, we had all the help we needed. And at one point, I had to shut off the donations because, we had bed space there. We couldn't take it anymore. That show barn is a huge building, but at one point, we cut the donations off for 24 hours. And then the numbers went from 500 to 350 to 200, to 150. And, as of yesterday, we had 17 people left. And crisis assistance is working with those people as we speak to get, vouchers, transitional housing, get them the needs, get them what they need to pick their lives back up and get moving forward. So as of right now, and let me back up just 1 second. In addition to the 500 that we had at the shelter, there were area churches, High Point, Baptist, Porter Baptist, a lot of smaller churches in some of the cities came together. There was over 700 people. So you're talking 12 to 1,500 people that were misplaced and had to have somewhere to stay. And I just want to thank all of those organizations and all those people who opened the doors and opened their hearts and did the right thing for our community. But right now, moving forward, the shelter is officially closed, and we will have everybody placed. The distribution center has closed. We just took a trailer load of pet supplies and dog food and horse feed and stuff over to the county park where they're continuing services over there to make sure those resources got where they needed to be. The 2 organizations that will continue to help in East Montgomery County is Mission Northeast, located on 494, and Heaven's Army, located on FM 1485. Heaven's Army will continue to meet the needs. I've just spoke with the food bank. They're going to work together. They're already a recipient of the food bank, but they will have plenty of product. Over the past, 10 or 12 days, at different points, we served up to 1,600 people a day that were coming in for needs for food, for water, for ice, clothing, cleaning supplies. And we had trucks from all over the nation. We had a lot of stuff from here. The Friends of Conroe, again, huge. They helped us a whole lot. They sent several trucks over there and never hesitated. The food bank has been continually supporting us. So I was just very humbled and really kind of struck that kind of support was here. Sometimes you see, and this is a catastrophic event of monumental proportion. We're talking like this is an 800-year flood. There's people in their 70s and 80s that were coming through and talking to me and saying, "Hey, Commissioner, I've been here all my life and I've never seen anything like this." And one of the good things, if there is anything good to come out of Hurricane Harvey, is we didn't get a lot of high winds. And
right.
Normally, back in this tax day flood, we had a lot of trees and vegetation and stuff down. And when you get the ground saturated and the high winds, it takes these trees down. You have roads closed. You have, we had some of that, but not anywhere.
Well, it would have just been impacted so much more. The road closures, the houses that didn't flood, but then were smashed because of trees falling, limbs, the additional power outages and the length of power outages, not to mention the clogged ditches, the clogged creeks, the clogged gutters. So houses that didn't flood this time, you're right. If we'd have lost trees and limbs, it would have even been worse.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And let me give the folks out there a little update about what we're doing about debris cleanup. Everything has to go through FEMA, it has to be approved. Of course, the EPA, and they've been very helpful and very, they worked through the weekend to get everything done. I've got 2 public dump sites set up right now. And what you have to have, it will be no contractors. If you hire a contractor, he's getting paid, to dump that stuff off. Now, if you want to work something out with him and you bring the trash over yourself, as long as you show an ID showing you live in Montgomery County, we'll let you in. And one is located at FM 1314 and State Highway 242 on the corner. There'll be signage out there. You'll pull in and they'll inspect your load, and then you can dump it off there on that dump site. The other one is on FM 2090, just east of Crockett Martin Road. There'll be signs out there. So those are the 2 public dump sites, naturally no charge at all to the public. I will, I've been I've got folks saying, "Hey, one of the trucks coming. I met with those guys, ladies, yesterday. What you have to understand is this happened from the coast back. There are only so many of those trucks on the road. We've been trying to get some trucks down from up north. Last conversation I had just a little while ago with our contractors, should have 3 trucks on the road tomorrow and an additional 6 by Monday. So the way to get your trash picked up is go to the Montgomery County EOC, or OEM, Office of Emergency Management. Go to their website, and there's a link there. There's a little 3-minute video you need to watch. It tells you about how to separate your trash out with construction debris, appliances, and then vegetation. Real informative. Just watch that. And then there's just a real easy form. You just click on it, put your name, address, phone number, a little bit about what you got, and then boom, a work order's created. And as soon as these trucks get rolling and get into these neighborhoods, we're going to get your trash picked up. So,
well, we normally have to take a break at the half-hour mark for news and weather. Okay. So let's take that break real quick. And when we come back, let's talk some more. I'd like to know something about a family over there, something that you saw, something that really touched you, that we can let the listeners know that ended up being a happy story. But let's paint a picture, because not everybody's on Facebook. Not everybody saw the news channels weren't up here. Let's paint a picture. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Hey, folks, Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate on Lone Star Community Radio, and we're going to be right back.
Attention movie lovers, The Ticket Stub is a new radio show servicing Montgomery County that is meant for you. The Ticket Stub is available live every Thursday at noon on FM 104.5 and 106.1, as well as anytime on OurLoneStar.com. Connor and Dick will let you know what's coming out in the theater, what is worth streaming, and what's going on in the world of film. The Ticket Stub, your home for movie talk.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? The Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Drive time with Mr. Ezra Charles on a Friday morning. Got Dick Schisler as the engineer. Got Jim Clark, commissioner, as my guest. Had Melanie Bush earlier. Next week, I'm not going to tell you yet who they are because we're juggling days. But again, a lot of volunteers out there that were involved in things. I want you on the show. I want to hear your stories. People who lost stuff. People who helped save people. I want your stories. I want you to come on. People involved in different things. And I know a lot of people are saying, talk about this, talk about that. There's a time for it. I'm not going to just... Yesterday was the day we just threw it all out there. It was kind of sporadic, and we threw it all out there just to get it going. But today I want to talk with East County. Paint us a picture. Paint us a picture of what it looked like to be over there. Tell us, as the volunteer or as the person who was evacuated, give us an idea of what you saw, what kind of people, what stories you heard, and that may have touched you in some manner.
Well, I'll tell you, early on in the storm, I had met with, we had a little mini emergency management office set up over at Station 151, East Montgomery County Fire Department. And there were, Rowdy's, Hayden's gentlemen with officers with the constable's office were there, fire departments, the Porter and the East Montgomery County Fire Department was there, local agencies, like you said, the local cities, all kind of got together and just coordinated. And then, once the storm blew in, it was just all out chaos. I mean, it was terrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, those guys, Constable Hayden and the fire department worked round the clock. They were picking people off rooftops. The water had risen to the rooftops. They were, boating in. They were, in frogman suits. I mean, it was unbelievable. And, one of the calls that I've only been a commissioner almost 3 years now, but a call that you never want to get is, Commissioner, could you send over a great owl to pick a tree off of a house? And I said, is it blocking anything? I said, no, there's a woman that has passed away. The tree fell on her house and she passed away, and it was terrible, And I mean, just things of that magnitude that you just don't expect to hear. I mean, on the other end of the phone line. And I can't say enough about our first responders and all our police officers over in East Montgomery County. It was, if we hadn't been prepared, I'll tell you, Rowdy's got, Constable Rowdy Hayden's got a place over inside my facility where he keeps all his high water rescue, his trucks, his Humvees and stuff like that. For this, and I mean, he's been criticized. What do you need all that for? Well, I'm going to tell you, folks, we saw what you need that for. Exactly. I mean, this time, if we hadn't had the equipment and the manpower to do the job that we did, there would certainly been more loss of life. So hats off to Constable Hayden and his group and the first responders. They have boats and all kind of equipment, training, swift water training. These guys have been training for this, and I talked about there wasn't a playbook, but they have to have that training to be able to do the type of things that they did during this storm event. And
people don't understand. People don't realize Well, because not everybody's privy to the information, and you don't want to always throw it out there because it just sounds like a scare tactic. I think Conroe's official rain was somewhere around 30 inches.
Correct.
If that storm had come back after going in the Gulf the way they originally said it was supposed to come back, it was going to come right on the west side of Houston, straight up 45. There's a good chance that we would have gotten an additional 20-plus inches of rain. I just can't even imagine how bad it is now, what it would have been like had that happened.
Well, Nathan, I can assure you that I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you right now had that have happened, because, and I thank you for reaching out to me earlier in the week, but it was just literally impossible. Myself and all my employees and volunteers, everything, we were working 15, 16 hours a day to make sure that, the people were, not myself, the people rescued, but the first responders, but to make sure there was housing there, to make sure there was food there, make sure there was a meal there, make sure there was comfort, towels, all the things that you need. And I mean, you can't just run down to Walmart and buy 500 cots. And our Office of Emergency Management, Darren Hess, is a superstar. I'll tell you, he, we had our trials and tribulations because sometimes you just can't get the things you need, but every call that was made, it was answered. And we got the things that we needed in East Montgomery County as well in West Montgomery County. And I can't tell you of a story that somebody's called and says that somebody dropped the ball, maybe other than a contractor or two. But, I mean, they're doing their best, too, because they're just working under extenuating circumstances. I'll tell you, and I do want to say something about the Red Cross. We opened with the premise that the Red Cross would be there. And there's been a lot of, negativity about the Red Cross. And I will tell you, the Red Cross didn't show up till just a couple of days ago. But in defense of Red Cross, I will say this. When you're planning for an event of, say, 100 people, and then all of a sudden you have an event of 10,000 people and you didn't plan for that, I think that was exactly it. I think the Red Cross just didn't have the resources, didn't have the bodies, the trained people. You can't just train somebody overnight for this situation. So I'm not going to be critical of those guys, but
a lot of the volunteers live in Texas.
Right.
A lot of the volunteers live in Texas. And you got Rockport, you've got all the way up from our coastal area up to us. Mm-hmm. Now you've got Beaumont, Port Arthur, and that is insane, Beaumont and Port Arthur. What's going on over there? That's just, a whole city basically is just pretty much wiped out. Water contaminated, just that's insane over there.
Yeah, it's what you say. Say they've got 5,000 volunteers. Well, there may have been 1,000 or 1,500 of those that were affected and lost everything they had, and some of them still came. So, a couple organizations I want to recognize right now is the Texas National Guard, the National Guard. They're both were there almost from day one. I say day one, a couple of days in, they came out, reached out to us, and came in and helped set up logistics and management and oversight of the shelter and the distribution operations. Also, the Salvation Army, our local Salvation Army, Major Don. He came and man, he was just a godsend, And then we got some resources. They sent 3 trucks. And so we could feed all these folks, and they went out in the communities, and they're still going out in the communities. We've got them set up over there with a kitchen facility, and every single day they've been going out to the hardest hit areas and feeding those folks. So hats off to the Salvation Army, the National Guard, the Texas Guard, and all my local volunteers. And Nathan, right now I want to talk about some stuff that I actually witnessed while we were there on site. I saw a guy with his family come in, and he had 2 kids, and they'd lost everything. Actually, their mobile home had been washed onto its side, and just a great, hard-working family. And then I went next door a little later that day, and I looked up, and this guy's over there, slinging boxes and sorting and loading people out. And just like he was there to help. He was there to help, and we had countless people who were in the shelter that, whether it was to take their mind off of it or whatever, but to see people like that had lost everything and still have the intestinal fortitude to get up and do that. and help. And
we had a few of those over when the Friends of Conroe was over in the VFW hall.
Mm-hmm.
Tara Trevino, a friend of mine, her daughter Kaylee were there just rocking along. They lived on the backside of RP and 2-story home, and it was to the roof of a 2-story home.
Right.
And they figured they needed to give back because they were going to need help themselves. And there were several different groups like that. And how do you do that? I think I'm a pretty good dude. Man, that would be hard. That would be hard.
Yeah, it's like getting hit by a car and standing back up and
making sure the driver's okay.
Right. It just we saw a lot of stories out there. And I mean, there's some of the things that people don't think about is some of these folks. We had people in wheelchairs. We had people who had, diabetes, heart conditions. We saw all kind of things, and we just, we did the best we could. We had some doctors. We had an ER nurse that is living next door in the RV park. He'd go work a 12-hour shift at the ER, and then he would come over there and volunteer for 6 or 8 hours and go catch a couple hours of sleep and come back and do it over again. No pay, no request, just came and was there. And we had a lot of local nurses who came and were there. And we had doctors in there that, had the emergency management office had sent over. And you just don't think about those type of things until you're there. And I wanted to mention also Rowdy Hayden's Citizens Academy. They have a Citizens Academy. They have Alumni Association. And those guys, they came, and Jack Armstrong, he's a great cook. I'll eat his cook at any time. And he came and scrambled up, 100 eggs and, 50 pounds of sausage and made sure everybody got a good hot breakfast. And those guys stayed throughout the day and just, walked the shelter, making sure, can we get you anything? You need anything? We know it wasn't the Ritz-Carlton or, but we tried to make it as comfortable and plausible as possible for these folks. And it's, I'm proud to say that East Montgomery County stepped up, stood up, and were there for the task, and they just done an outstanding job.
Anybody else? Anybody that you need to make sure you remember, that you talk about, special story or whatever? Well,
there's one gentleman out of my office, and unless you know James Roby, you probably can't appreciate this story. But James is he came from the auditor's office, and he's in my office, and he takes care of all the facilities and all the buildings, and plus all the accounting in my office. And just call him a bean counter. And he's kind of a stay to himself kind of guy. And he just kind of got thrown into managing the operation of the food distribution and cleaning supplies and stuff like that. And that guy's a rock star. 15, 16 hours a day, take charge. You'd have thought he was a drill sergeant all his life. And I mean, he just really took charge, managing 100-something volunteers. And, talk about somebody coming out of their shell or coming out of their comfort zone in the crisis or in a emergency situation. Hats off to James Roby, and hats off to all my guys. And we had guys over there that were just standing by with forklifts waiting to unload trucks. We had guys putting up signs. They were all over the place. And like again, I wanted to mention Rhonda Binkin, the facilities manager there at the East Montgomery County Senior Center, and Jennifer Hayden, who is Rowdy's wife, that works there as well. I mean, they just, without them, when you're expecting a team to come in and take charge and they don't come, you can't wait. Right. You have to do what you need to do. And those guys have, matter of fact, talk about 15, 16 hours a day. Those ladies stayed 5 or 6 days, 24 hours a day, and laid their head down for a couple of hours and kept things going. So hats off to those folks. And I just can't say enough about the good people of East Montgomery County and everything they've done. I know there's probably some people, East Texas Dream Center came over and dropped off a load of supplies, got some addresses, and, went and helped. I'll tell you, Sundance Head's father, Roy Head, great family. Well, Sundance is off. And I mean, people think
he's overseas, I think, isn't he?
No, I think he was at the Grand Ole Opry last night.
Oh, okay.
Here's Roy Head, 70 plus years old and got a few health conditions, and we got the family there, and trying to call contractors. So Chad got his phone number. They went over there and they ripped that house out and cleaned things out to get things back in order. Just to help, because I mean, it doesn't matter your stature in life. It doesn't matter, whether you're rich or poor or whatever. But when you're in need and there's no help out there, these people reached out, and a lot of organizations coming down. The Mormons have showed up, and the Methodist Men, Baptist Group Foundation, and they right now, we're in recovery mode, and they're going to come out in these communities, and the people that don't have insurance and the people that don't have stuff like that, they're going to go in. These guys, some of them have promised me, like, Commissioner, we'll be there 2 days. If it's 2 foot of sheetrock, we'll be there 2 days. We'll be in and we'll be out, and these folks will be able to get back into their homes. So that's another outpouring of support that we've got. And I'm just, like I say, I'm in awe of all of these folks that don't even know. They just know there was a need. They don't know. They never met me before. They never met any of these people before. And you would think they were family the way that they were reacting and responding to the needs.
So are there any needs you have right now? Anything you need to talk about that you want the public to know? Because this will be on YouTube. You can go to the Montgomery County Lifestyle YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Lone Star Community Radio has a channel. And we'll share this video or our time today, this segment. Mm-hmm. Can't talk today. My brain's tired. And then next week it'll be on Channel 12 Suddenlink. So what do you want the people to know? What are your needs over there?
Well, right now, like I say, the resources we're reaching out to, and the resources I would appreciate everybody supporting is Mission Northeast and Heaven's Army. If you can help those folks with some cash donations, supplies, reach out and see what they need. They're going to be my support over there from this point forward. Like I say, Mission Northeast is going to be passing out food items and making sure families are fed and stuff like that.
How do they look on water?
Water's fine. Water's fine. As a matter of fact, we just shipped over about 18 pallets this morning. So Lenora at Heaven's Army, they've got a different approach right now. What they're doing is a lot of these people can't come in, and there's still 10 or 12 families and at the end of a road or something that needs help. They're going out in the communities, finding out what the need is, loading up a pickup truck or a van or whatever they've got with supplies and cleaning stuff and maybe some debris demolition items and stuff like that, and going to them. So, I think it's a good balance for what we need. We need both of those. The people that can come and get help will go to Mission Northeast. The people that can't, we have people reaching out every day, and then they answer the call.
Yeah.
And I will tell you something that happened. Sometime God tests us all, but when we had that second little storm, I think Wednesday night, blew a tree down on the roof of Heaven's Army, damaged the roof, knocked the ceiling tiles out, ruined a bunch of their equipment in there. And but you know what? That didn't faze Lenora, not for 1 minute. She held her head up, got in there and got it cleaned up, and they're moving forward, and they haven't stopped 1 minute in helping.
We got 2 minutes, so I just want to let everybody know in the last 2 minutes that next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to be bringing you more stories from the storm, different people. If you have a story and you want us to talk about it, let us know. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to get Vicki Croston in here to talk about the water that was airlifted. Vicki, text me if you need some more water. We've got some for you right now. And that's just an example of different people. So thank you for coming in.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate you coming in. It's been a rough week. I know there's been a lot of personal things going on as well, too. It really affected a lot of y'all in that area, and you especially.
One last thing. I want to thank Judge Doyle, because he's been really great and supportive. And anytime we had a sticking point on that, I just picked up the phone, and he's made things happen for us. And thank you, Judge, for your support during this crisis.
And I posted yesterday that I need time to thank everybody, because I'm still
and I'm going
distributing.
I'm going to leave here, and we're going to forget a bunch of people. But
yeah. Well, but I told him to give me time, and I told him to give me time. But you're right. Judge Doyle made a phone call. 30 minutes later, I get a phone call, and later on that night, they're installing high-speed Suddenlink. I posted about George, and I got to give you thanks while you're here. Told you we needed space. on what, Saturday?
Yes. And we got it Saturday.
And we got it Saturday.
We got your
and
power.
we got power on Saturday.
Right.
So
thank you to Energy, by the way.
Oh my God.
Tracy Rudder with Energy. They heard what the need was. They immediately sent a truck, got the power on, so y'all could continue to operate.
And
help the
George
community.
is so cool. We love George. He's the owner of the building.
Yep.
So
That's
we wouldn't be in a building. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now had you not gotten involved. Had George not had the right heart. Had Energy not been willing to do it, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's the Cortland Place Shopping Center on Fraser Street, and he also has the one where Johnny B. Dalton's is Wood Creek, and he's a.
And guess who we're next door to?
The
Montgomery County Democratic Party.
And you know what? We all come together.
Yeah.
In spite of politics. So
they've offered us to make copies for us. They've offered us coffee.
yeah.
There's some nice people over there. Nice people over there. Well,
Awesome.
hey, thanks for being in here. We'll have you back again when you have some. If you've got some people over there that have stories, send them to us.
I absolutely
Dick's
will.
got other radio shows, talk shows that would love to hear those stories. Have them contact the station. Have them contact me. We'll get them on.
Absolutely. And I thank you for having me. And God bless Texas, Montgomery County, and naturally, more especially, East Montgomery County.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, you've been listening to Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate on Lone Star Community Radio. Go to irlonestar.com and download the app. Go to iTunes. Go to Google Play. Go to the Facebook page. Go to the YouTube channels. This is community radio. This is about you. When we went into emergency broadcast, I say we, when they went into emergency broadcast mode, they got information out that helped save lives, help protect people. Stay a part of this. Be a part of this. Nathan Arrazate reminding you this is your county, your life, and your style.
Thanks for listening to this production on Lone Star Community Radio. If you were late for the program or want to re-listen to it all over again, make sure to subscribe to the show's YouTube channel and download the podcast version on their iTunes and Google Play.
Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show is recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.